What's good, everyone? Hope you're doing well from wherever you're watching. We're gonna be diving into some automation, and I wanna show you guys why it is a game changer. I'm gonna show you how automation works. I'm gonna show you a few examples that I used recently to help create some really cool effects. But ultimately, automation is key. You'll hear it in every song in some form in 2024. Automation is very important, so I'm gonna show you guys a few examples and get you on your way. Like always, gotta give a shout out to these couple of people for commenting on a recent video. Let me know what else you guys wanna see in the comments below, and leave a like and subscribe if you wanna support the channel. Appreciate you. So with that said, let's jump over to Logic Pro and I'm gonna show you an example. Alright, so over in Logic Pro here, I have a sample pulled up, and on this track, I've applied a reverb. So what I'm gonna do is select this option right here that says show/hide automation, so that when I add the effects to these plugins in real time, you'll see these lines start to move up and down. So for example, I'm gonna start with the reverb muted, and then over on the left on this track, switch this automation mode to touch or right. I usually just go touch, but now when I play the track through, I'm gonna increase this reverb. You'll see the line start to increase as well. So obviously a lot of reverb going on there, but you can see the line that I just drew in real time appear here. And that is technically what automation is just adding effects that happen over time in your system. I can play through, and I'm gonna add some painting. So all I'm doing here is just panning and adding effects as the track plays. All right, so that's a pretty cool example of just how automation works. So now I want to jump over to a few other beats that I've made recently and show you a few effects that I've come up with using automation. So in this first example here, it kind of starts the first half with like a Latin hip hop beat, and then it kind of switches into a really dark hip hop towards the end. So I'm just gonna play through where it starts to switch. So I half-timed the original melody and then just transposed it down on a few semitones. It sounds a lot darker. It starts getting to really dark territory. Okay, but the cool part is after this beat drops and switches, I start to add some automation to bring in some different instruments. When it gets into that second half, I have some bell notes that I played and ultimately threw a bunch of effects on it, but this is what it sounds like. It's like right here. And then it switches high. If it was playing through without any automation, you'll just hear the plucks as they are. And so what I did with the plucks is simply start to increase the volume. So one way that you can do this is by changing this, like we just did before, to a touch or a right, and then start to actually manually increase the volume. That works perfectly fine too, but what I did originally was just click and see these points here. You can just take them and drag them up or down. So as this gets to like maybe this section halfway through, I could have it kind of fade out. And then as this is playing through, what I also did was to just increase the mystique of this part of the beat, was to increase the reverb at the same time. So when it gets to the section where the high notes are playing, I'm kind of messing around with the reverb here, so it's going up and down in different sections. And if I wanted to exaggerate it, I could start to just fade it out. So, I mean, that's cool, but that's not what I wanted originally, because at the end here I have like a vinyl scratch, so yeah, so I'm gonna keep that scratch in, and what I did to add that was actually just automate this plugin here to turn up this setting, which is the sequence time. So when it comes to automation, I look at it in three parts. First being experimenting, try different plugins, write in some automation. You can drag these points up and down manually as well. Second part would be to polish it. So after you get the idea down, go back and start to really clean up by dragging these points here if you need to clean it up. And then finally, the third thing is just perfecting it. So adding some different effects on top of the automation you just did, such as risers, for example. So in this section, so I threw in this little vocal sample, It's in the same key, and I just threw it in underneath that effect. So, and the vocal fades out. And what we did was, at this section, kind of changed to a Mario, some Mario keys or something, but yeah, that's it for this one. So now that we've seen an example of automation using volume, I want to show you one using EQ and how I used it to bring in a certain sound. I used it to create suspense in this drop on this dance track that I'm working on. So this dubstep piece right here, I'm just going to play it through so you hear how it sounds. In that drop, you can hear the dubstep part really come in, the EDM starts to really take effect. And so what I did with this original dubstep file that I created with these notes and just went crazy with one of these plugins to create that sound, I chopped it up, and then ultimately, if you can see with my EQ, watch what happens as I play the track. So it's increasing as it plays until the drop hits. By no means am I a dubstep or EDM producer, but in this case, I'm just having fun. You start to hear it underneath and it starts to build and you're kind of questioning what you're hearing. So if I open this up, again using this show hide automation, which is also, if you just hit A on your keyboard, you can see the same thing. You'll see this entire effect play out as the track plays right into this drop at this section. What I did, obviously, was just increase this all the way to the right as it played. I'll just even do it again just to show you. But as this plays, slowly bring it in. That's not bad. But if I'm not happy with that, obviously I can just like select all these points and move this up or down. If I wanted to decrease, increase, you have a lot of flexibility with automation. And then, like I said before, just add different effects on top of that. So once that is polished, I'm gonna go back to some of my drums here and create some suspense by using some, I think they're bongos, but it's some sort of perk loop that I've pieced together so that building into the drop, you have these playing. And then that snare right at the end, so you know it's about to drop. You know, simple stuff like that, adding some effects on top of your automation really stands out. Again, try out risers and different cymbals that crash into a new section, all that good stuff. Okay, so we've seen automation with volume, we've seen it with the EQ, and now I want to show you an example using reverb on this beat. So leading into this drop here, I want to create some more airiness, just make it really dreamy as it heads into this new section. So I'm going to go ahead and find my go-to reverb. You can use any of the stock ones and basically do the same thing. So as this section starts to head into the drop, once I turn on touch over there, start to just increase the mix. Heads right into that new section. Like a dream, you know? So that reverb is just gonna take hold of that melody and just create this whole atmosphere by using that automation, which is really simple. Without any automation that I just applied, turn all that off. Sounds okay. But I really want to exaggerate that reverb effect, so you hear it kind of dissipate around you heading into that drop. That's kind of what I'm going for with that reverb effect. So really simple for me to just go add that quick automation to just create some suspense, and also the transitions sound much better. On this choir, I started to mess with the same reverb and increase it towards the end to give it a tail. I don't know what was happening in this section here, but there's automation scattered all throughout this beat. So I applied one more effect on this vocal chop heading into the outro. So this is what it sounds like with the reverb increasing. Same thing, it'll just dissipate all around you. Just a really easy way to head into the outro. So the point of this tutorial is to just show you use automation to your advantage. It's really easy to just add some simple effects like this. We went over 3 different examples today. Just remember, experiment, polish, and then perfect it. Finally add some effects on top of it, and it'll all come together. If you made it to the end, I appreciate you guys for watching. We just learned 3 different ways that we can use automation to improve our beats. So that's it. Thank you guys again for tuning in. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, keep making music, keep it simple, you know the rest. Peace.